there's this question which someone asked me on the comments on how to create a virtual instance in Google Cloud Platform, that is GCP. And so I decided let me do a video on that so that at least you might learn one or two things on that. So today what I'll be doing, I'll be first creating a virtual instance, and then later on I'll create a Git repository. We'll put our codes there, and then we do the DevOps thing, that is CI/CD, the continuous integration and continuous deployment. So we'll create pipelines and then deploy it using GitLab runners to our virtual instance. So we start from here. Assuming now you have a Google account, you'll go to, you can search Google Console and then go to Google Console. If you're logged into your email address via your Chrome, you should log in into your own console linked to your Google account. If that's not the right one that you want, you can usually sign out from here. You can sign out or add an account and log in or switch to the next the account. So once you go to Google Console, you tap on this logo here to load you into the home. So there's this new view of the dashboard. So you might either directly go into Compute Engine or wherever, any other place that you want to view your billing, your blah blah blah. So for me, I'll go to Compute Engine. The same link, you can access it via this left hamburger menu. So you'll just tap on this and then go to Compute Engine here, and then tap on virtual machine or virtual instances. But for me right now, I'll just tap on this Compute Engine. So it will take me directly to, it's like coming here and then going to Compute Engine and then going to virtual instances. So it will show me the current instances that I'm having. However, what I want to do, I want to create a new instance. So how do we do that? So in here, you tap on this create new instance, tap on that. So I'll be creating a Linux machine because I like Linux. You can create whichever, Windows or whatever, any other operating system or any other Linux distribution that you feel it's pleasing to you. But for me now, I'll call this instance, I'll give it a name. Let's say, let me think of a nice name. Let me assume it's Bula POS. By the way, guys, go to Bula POS tutorials on YouTube, Bula POS channel, and subscribe, and also follow for more videos on Bula POS and how it's working. Very soon Bula is coming to be an open source project, so you'll have advantage once you sign up there. You'll know when the code become publicly published for you to use. You can take it and resell it, no worries. Yeah, so here you'll see we have labels, we have regions. Just leave it at default. That's what I'll do. Series, wherever. Then the CPU, at least I like to take the medium size, not the very small or the micro. I just like to take the medium size and not also so big because of the budget issues. So I'll just stick with the medium one because I'm not doing something very intense. And then from there we will go to, you'll see all those options there. So there's this size, you can change the size of the boot disk for the machine, but for me I don't want to change it. However, there's this image, Debian image. You can tap on change if you want to change anything in here. For example, you can select CentOS machine, blah blah blah. You can even look for Ubuntu. I know a lot of people use Ubuntu, but for me I like CentOS. Also Fedora is not bad. Also this Red Hat. So select based on the operating system that you are very familiar with. For our tutorial case, I'll just pick Ubuntu, and then here is where you can change the size. For now, I'm just hosting a small project, so I'll not need to change the size. However, you can also adjust the size based on whenever you need it. Like if the computer uses the entire 10 GB, you can also expand it later on, so no worries on that. I'm told here architecture should be at least 64-bit. Let me try see if there's the latest. There's 2022 minimum, 2022 latest support. Yeah, I'll pick these latest support. Let's try. Yep, so we have just changed the details for the operating system. to Ubuntu 22.04 latest support. So from there, I'll just tap on the next. Allow default access, allow full access to cloud APIs, blah blah blah. So you can just allow defaults to make sure you're using the lowest budget as possible, and then pick the firewall. You can allow both HTTP and HTTPS traffic on the firewall, and then that's it. So we can create our instance. So tap on create. It will take some moment to create and start your instance, and then from there we can do update wherever now we want. So for this case, because of time, I won't really go into doing a local SSH. However, I'll just be using SSH from here on the cloud, on the browser option. So let my machine start, and then I'll show you up to there. For more SSH videos, or if you want to know how to link this to your local machine and do SSH directly from your terminal, you can put on comment there. I'll do a video for that. So for now, I can open these because now my machine is running. This is where it's running. So if you tap on this, you can either refresh machine, you can stop, you can do whatever you want to do on this instance. But for now, I'll open SSH. You can use a client or whatever, but for me, I'll just open it in a browser to just confirm if things installed the way I want them to be. All right. Yep. So that's step number one. So let me SSH into that and see. Just a moment as we check on that. So notice this guy when you want to link it to the local SSH or use the local terminal to do the SSH, you need a key. So you need to generate a private and public key and then copy it to this platform. So for now, we'll not do that. So you see here, we have just logged in into our Ubuntu machine, and now we can now start typing whatever details that you want from this machine. So for example, yeah, I can list everything that I'm having, so I don't have anything on my home directory. And so this is where I'll want us to do a CI/CD, whereby we'll have we will be putting files onto this machine, onto this folder, and then we'll be looking at it if we updated it successfully or not. So for now, guys, what I'll just do first, I'll go to GitLab. That's the second thing you need. So we have a Google account. Now I'll go to GitLab here. If you don't have an account, make sure you create one. So when you're on GitLab, you can create a free account by registering here. So you just register for a GitLab account or GitHub, whichever. And now you sign in from there. So let's say I want to do a CI/CD on a project. So what I'll just do, I'll just create a new project. Let me just create a new project, or let me use this project that we had initially. Let me just use this repo that we had, the Git tutorial, the one I created for Git tutorial. Link on the bio, you can go there and check it out. So this is a repo I've already created. Now when you go to CI/CD, you'll find that we have not set anything like that. Nothing is no pipeline is running, nothing is active. So this is what we want to work on. All right, guys? Yeah, sure. So let's give it a start. So the first thing we need to do here, now we have our repository set from here. So from there, I'll go directly and start now the linking up. People, so we are going to install first GitLab runner onto our server. So there's a quick nice tutorial here on how to install a GitLab runner. So I'll just do I'll copy this command to add the repo to my GitLab runner. Now remember that that SSH that we had it open here. So that's where now we need to install the runner itself. So first it will try to run to update the repo and add the new repo before we can now start to install the runner. So just follow this tutorial to help you. It's a very nice explanation on how to install the runner itself. So that's what I'm doing right now. run that command to install it. So you just update the repo and then install the runner. And then after that, there is a lot of commands here. Installing a specific version and stuff. But for me, I just want the default which will give me. And then you can check if the runner itself is running after the installation. So we'll use just these two commands. We check the version and then check if the runner is running, and then you're good to go. These are the commands to start, to stop, and to restart, wherever. So you can try them out and see how they're working. Yeah, so my runner is complete. I'm done installing it, so I can check on the version first. I can try out this to just confirm that my installation went successfully. Let me put this one side by side. Sorry, I didn't have that navigator controller. There's a very nice app to do this navigation control. Yep. Okay, so if we check on the version, you'll see we have version 15.2. If you check on the status, you'll know if it's running or not. Yeah, so our GitLab runner is already running. So the status is okay, and that's done on our server side. So let's go back to our GitLab side now. So in here onto GitLab, we need now to install. There's a file we need to add called. So for now, we are having this README, and then we have this file GitLab.ci cd. So this is the file that we use to create a So here, initially on our project, on our Git project, we don't have, we only have this README file. So we'll need to add this file. So we'll just create this new file with the name .gitlab.yml. That one will help us run now the pipelines. So just go to your GitLab. You can do it on the main branch or onto whichever branch, and then you just add a file. So just tap on add new file and then give it that name. You say .gitlab.yml. So that's how you add YML. Now let's look at the content. So you'll allow me copy some content from here, from another repo that I did, and then I'll edit this file, then I'll explain to you what it does. Much easier than typing the entire stuff because of time. That's it. What else do I need? I just need this one to explain it to you. That's it. So let's go. Now, this one, for example, these stages, you can have a stage like maybe these are the stages where you want your server to run on. For example, you can have maybe the build stage. You can have, so this is a script, a GitLab script. So you can have the build stage, maybe the testing stage, and maybe the deploy, which you deploy now to production. So those are the stages that I'll need for my case here. And then you'll specify the this image. You can check from GitLab images and check the latest based on the files and the project that you want to upload. And then you have the cache. This one will now keep the path of those folders that you don't want to be uploaded each time you do you run your CI/CD. But it's not mandatory, so you can do away with that. It will be much easier and very simple. Even this one, yeah, you can do away with that. So here, after that, now you'll have after these stages, like you see this build stage, testing stage. So you can have whichever stage that you want in here, and then you will give it an explanation on what they are supposed to run. And then in here, you can tell GitLab at what point are you supposed to run this command. For example, this one is for production. I like to put it as manual. The other ones I'll not say manual, so it means they'll run automatically. And then where are the scripts now? So under deploy, stage. I'll call it a deploy, and then I'll have a tag in here to maybe say, for example, this one is Git tutorial, right? So say Git tutorial, maybe let me call it CI CD tutorial. I say that way, CI CD tutorial. So this is my tag I've created for this, and then after that I'll say at this stage called deploy, what will you do now? This is the name of the stage, or maybe I can say this one is production, whichever name that you want to call. But now this stage, I'll say this is at the stage of deploy based on these stages. And then this one is just this normal command, like this one will print whoever is using the app at that time. And then this is the major command now. So I'll use rsync to do an upload. So rsync usually takes two parameters. So the first parameter is at what in these folders. If you're having a folder here, for example, a folder called frontend, for example, in your app, so you'll say under this folder called frontend, you just start from the current directory, or maybe just put a slash if you want this one to appear, or if it's backend, you just say under backend take everything and do such a stuff. So we'll create a folder called frontend. I'll create it in my parent directory in my Git repo later. And then where do we want to save it? Now on our file, the file that we have, we are having this directory. So we want everything that we are doing to come here on this directory. So if I type present working directory, I can see this. So I want it to deploy onto this, and maybe in here I can create now a directory called maybe frontend. Maybe say frontend. So if I list this, you'll see the rights for this directory is frontend is given to Samson Anami, who is the administrator or the sudo of this account. So later on, at times it might fail, and it will require us to set the owner of this directory to GitLab run, so that, or we give it a read, write, and execute the 777 or 755 role. So this is what I'll put here. I'll say deploy onto my folder is called this present working directory is home/Samson Anami. So I'll say home/Samson Anami. Now this one will deploy into this, and then maybe we want it inside the folder called frontend. So that will take all the content of frontend and deploy them here. Let's have another case. Assuming I'm having a backend or an API folder, I'll call it backend. Let me say API. So the API, I want it again to go to API samsonanami.api. So in here, what we'll just say, I'll just come here and add another folder and call it, make another directory and call it API. And then now remember, I'll have two folders here. If you list this way, you'll see I have API and frontend. So the two folders is where I need my contents to go. So currently they are empty. That's why you see their spaces is they have nothing. They are just in some like they are completely empty. So that's where we will be putting our files. Now you can also say this one only affects which branch. You can say only this one only affects the main branch. Maybe the deployment only affects the main branch and whatever. So let me create another case for build, maybe building or developing, or yeah, I'll just give it a simple name, and then I say the stage is build. So after build we go to testing, then we go to deployment. So build, I don't want it, maybe for example right now I don't want it to do anything, and then I don't want it to be manual, so I want it to just run automatically, but it just not do anything. You just print who am I, and maybe say my present working directory, and then that's it. So you can, if it affects or it takes all the files from all the repository, you can skip this only keyword, so that it takes everything onto the master directory, onto all directories, and try to mini. But if you want it to take from one, let's say I want it to take from the develop branch, so that's where we'll have all those all those details. So after that, you'll have to save this file .gitlab CI cd file. Now we are expecting a lot of errors because we haven't configured everything that we want. So wait a minute, copy this and then let's go here. So the CI/CD is there. Let's check our pipeline. So right now we are having a pipeline, and you see, as you can see, it's showing me some details. So we have these stages here. So we have one stage which is skipped. Yeah, so it's going to production. I think the other one, because we set it to deploy. We said development. No, not really. We don't have such a branch. We say deploy, or we just set it to master also, so that you can see the two stages. So let's just edit here and say let these affect also. Instead of deploy, we say let it affect the master branch or the main. We don't have master, so we have main. So we are expecting at least to see the two under main, and then mark these tags. I'll tell you where we'll add them. Update these. So from there, you can go to pipeline. So you can see already whenever I go to pipeline, it will try to run the two stages now. So you have two stages here because now I've set both building and testing, the building and production and deploy under one branch. It will affect the main branch, so that's why it's coming as two. So if you're having 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 pipelines that you want to run, or 10 stages, they'll all appear here, and based on how you set them. For this one is automatic, so it's trying to run right now, and this one is manual. That's why until you come here and click on run, that's when it will run. But one more thing to go. So we want to set or to link this GitLab to the person to our remote server. So what we just do, we just come here onto settings, and then you go to CI/CD. Under here you will find runners here. So you want to register a runner. So this you go onto this runner settings runner, and then you expand this, and then down here you will find a registration token to register a runner onto GitLab. So you can Google on how to register a runner onto GitLab, or maybe follow one of these tutorials whereby it will show you how to install a runner on this. Just a second. I was explaining like you need to register a GitLab runner onto your server. So I just open my initial instance here, and then I'll just say so I'll just try to register that runner. I'll register. Then it will tell me now enter the GitLab instance URL. So that's this one, the same way you're given here. So you just copy that, and then let me maximize this a bit, minimize a bit. Then this one you can paste it here, then press return or enter. Then it will tell you to enter the token. So you pick this token from the GitLab itself. It will give you from that repo. You paste it in. Then enter a description for the runner. Now this description for the runner, you remember what we had as initially as our tag, right? So I'll open this in a new file so that you can see that tag that we had. Open this. So you remember this tag that we had, CI/CD tut. This one should be the same as this description and tag. Wherever you see any description or tag on this, you'll have to put the same name. Yeah, so this one, not even description. Description, it can't be anything, but the tags for the runner should be very specific. So you just paste that CI/CD tweet. That one should be specific. The details or description, you can enter whatever thing that you feel, and then enter optional maintenance. Note that's optional. I won't enter it. And then enter the executor for this. So for my case, I'll use shell. So there's an option here for shell. So this is what I'll be using to as my executor, and that's it. So the runner is registered. Now notice when you come here and refresh, you'll see some differences here. Right now there's no any GitLab runner registered, but once I refresh, you'll see something. So if you well configured that, you should be able, whenever you expand a bit, you should be able to see available specific runner here. So you'll have the runner here, and it will tell you to remove it. So once you see this change, you know that your runner is very well installed. And now we can go back to our CI/CD and try to run. So you see my first one just passed automatically because now my runner was well installed. So it's not stalled or yeah. No, so you see these are the commands which ran through the shell, and I ran this first command, why told me GitLab runner, and then present working directory is in this. Boom, that's the first step done. Now that one didn't copy anything, so the second one which is supposed to copy something is this, the second one. So I'll try to show you what you're having in here. Yeah, so if we go to front end, right now we have nothing on front end. So what I just want to do, I just want to create a front end file and then add some file on it and wait for it to run onto this. Whenever I run, now I run my GitLab runner onto, whenever I deploy onto production. Right now if I deploy, it will fail because we have no folders, such folders in here. So when we come here to main, we have no such folders here. So that's what I want to create, and then we can see from there. So assuming that you're having this project set up from your machine, let me just go back here. So if you have this project set up from your machine, whereby you have this GitLab tutorial, the one that we are playing around with. Yeah, so if I say git status, remember the git commands that we had, and then git, let's view the branch that we are in. We are on deploy, so I'll say git stash everything to just clear everything, and then git checkout main. I want to add it on main because remember, so my branch is behind, so I need to fetch, so I need to run this git pull, which will fetch and at the same time merge. Yeah, so it will pick everything from what I'm having on my server. So you can see under this one, now we have this CI/CD pulled from my server, and then we have this readme. So what do I want to do? So what I want to do first is to create the front-end folder here, front-end folder, and then I want also to create a backend folder, an API folder. And then under this API folder, maybe I'll create a new file and say this is api.txt, and then under front-end folder, I'll say create another file and say this is index.html folder. Now having those two, I'll just commit it to Git under the same branch. So if I git status, that is it. So I'll just git add, and you can run these commands. This is something I need to show you guys. Very easy one. You can just run all these commands under one. You say just and then you run it under one line. So you say message is update front-end and backend, and then we push. So all that will run under one line. So it will add, it will commit, and then it will push. So as you can see, I have no changes here, which is uncommitted. And so we can go onto our server, onto our repo to see what happened. So let's first refresh here. So if we refresh here, you'll see that we are having our front-end and API folders. I hope you can see. So we are having our front-end and API folder created. And now let's go to our CI/CD pipelines. So when you go to our pipelines, the first one, of course, will succeed. Let me make it bigger so that you can see. So here we have the files created. I just want to allow you to see. On the main branch, we have API and frontend created. And once we go to CI/CD, you'll find the first of our pipeline has just passed successfully. So, but the second one needs us to do a manual run. So we'll just tap on that. You tap on it and run manually. And now this one will be running. It will be running or executing our commands now. And you see our commands failed at one point. So it ran this one, GitLab runner, blah blah blah, destination this one. You see now this error which I told you before, there is permission denied. So that means we have permission denied error onto our server. So we need to update that. So what we do, go back here onto our server. Then we have these two, go back, we have these two files. So you need to change either ownership or maybe the rights onto these two folders, the API and the frontend. So what I'll do, I'll just say, I'll change ownership. I'll decide to change ownership and I'll say change ownership to GitLab, GitLab runner, then the group GitLab runner and the user GitLab runner. You can check this one on the introductions to Linux systems. You'll see the file systems and wherever how to set groups of ownership. So I'll just say change ownership of this directory to GitLab runner group and GitLab runner user, and then the user group and the user, and then I'll say to which folder, to the API folder. So notice what will happen. So if now I go back and list all, you'll see that this API now, the user, the owner is GitLab runner and the group is GitLab runner. So I'll do the same for this front end. So I'll just copy the same command and then here I say front end. And then I usually like doing this because the server is secured. Because your server is secured, you see now the two have their rights. So because your server is secured, for me, I like to do this, but it's not mandatory. I like to give them a right of a read, write, and execute for both of my folders, just to avoid a lot of errors coming from my Git. And then for front end. So you'll notice even the colors will change. So it will turn to green and tell you GitLab runner, and the right is given all the rights. Now, I can go back to running the script or I can retry from here. So if I retry, let's see now how the job will run. If it will go successfully, then we'll be done. We've tried to debug where the error was here, and it's just a little stupid mistake that I did on this server. So I had to change two things here. So I given the right onto this folder to this owner. I gave it to this owner. However, remember the folder that we were working on belongs to Samson. Yeah, Samson and I, we were working on home/Samson and I. So we were working on another user's folder. That's why I couldn't access from the GitLab runner. So what we had to do is to change it. Like you see, we moved that front end folder to var, and then we also moved the API folder to var. Then we checked out to var and confirmed they are here. So here is the front end and here is the API. And then from there we came back to GitLab, our CI/CD. Those are the two changes we did. We came here onto our CI/CD, and you see now here I wrote it to var. Now it's not to home, then Samson and Ann, it's just var, then frontend, var, then API. And after committing these changes again, and running this pipeline manually, everything went successfully. So you can see what happened. So in here, these are the commands which ran. So whomI, then it are synced to frontend, var frontend, then API. So we are expecting to find these files onto our server. So let's check them out. So onto our server, we can try and check the files out. So first I'll move to frontend and then check. So you'll find that the frontend has our index, which if I view, you'll see it has our text, which is testing. And then if I go to API, also we'll find our text, which is this is API text. So that's the complete way on how to run the complete circle of CI/CD. So whenever you'll be pushing your changes from your local machine, it will just go directly onto your server, and then out of there it will run the pipelines and take your files to your online GCP machine. So that one, you just do that continuous integration, continuous deployment, so you won't need to go every time you rsync onto your server and try to upload files, change files and whatever. It will just be doing it directly from here. So thank you guys. If you like my video, subscribe, give me more support, give me thumbs up, and tell me which other topic that you wish to see from my tutorials, and for sure I'll record it. Big up.